This is Global Hints Broadcasts. This is where we bring you education, discoveries, histories, innovations, and developments around the world. Welcome to part 2 of the untold story about slave trade. In this second part, I will walk you through the neocolonialism's dirty secret. You think colonialism ended in the 20th century? Think again. The real power grab? It's still happening, and it's way sneakier than you imagine. We're talking about neocolonialism, and what I'm about to show you is the part nobody wants to discuss. Hey, if you've ever wondered why some countries seem stuck in a cycle of debt and dependency, even after independence, you're in the right place. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the hidden economic tactics that keep former colonies tied to their old masters. Stick around, because the last point is the most shocking. Do you know what neocolonialism actually is? So, what's the difference between old-school colonialism and this neo version? Old colonialism was about flags, armies, and direct rule. Neocolonialism? It's far more subtle. It's about economic control, political influence, and cultural dominance, all without firing a shot. Think of it as influence peddling on a global scale, dressed up as aid and trade. The goal is the same: extract resources and maintain power. But the methods are different. Instead of sending soldiers, they send loans. Instead of governors, they send advisors. And the real kicker? Often, the leaders of these independent nations are the ones signing the deals that perpetuate the cycle. Fact 1: economic control is greater than military might. It's a game of chess, not checkers, and the board is the global economy. Now, why is this so important? Because it explains so much of the world's inequality today. And the first tactic? It's all about the money. The debt trap. Alright, let's dive into the most common weapon: debt. Imagine a developing nation needs infrastructure, roads, power plants, hospitals. They don't have the cash. Who's there to lend it? Often, it's international financial institutions or even the former colonial power itself, offering seemingly generous loans. Here's the catch: these loans often come with strings attached. High interest rates, conditions that favor the lenders' corporations, or requirements to buy goods and services from the lending country. The project gets built, sure, but the country is now saddled with massive debt. Fact 2: loans with hidden conditions. And if they can't pay, the lenders can seize assets, demand control over natural resources, or dictate economic policy. It's a modern form of subjugation. They're not colonizing the land, they're colonizing the economy. I saw this firsthand when I was researching on West Africa. The amount of national budget going just to service debt was staggering. It left almost nothing for education or healthcare. And the reason for the debt? Often, it was loans taken out decades ago for projects that never even benefited the general population. Fact 3: unequal trade agreements. Okay, so debt is one major tool. The next is controlling trade. Think about it, many former colonies were set up to produce raw materials for the colonizer. Independence didn't always change that. Neocolonial powers often push for trade agreements that keep these countries exporting cheap raw materials and importing expensive manufactured goods. This creates a permanent imbalance. Fact 4: export of raw materials to get import finished goods gives perpetual deficit. The value is added where the goods are processed, which is usually back in the former colonial power. So, the source country provides the labor and the resources, but gets a fraction of the profit. It's like selling the flour for pennies and buying back the bread for dollars. And when these countries try to develop their own industries to process their own resources, they often face tariffs and trade barriers imposed by the richer nations, designed to protect their own industries. It's a rigged game, plain and simple. The role of multinational corporations. Now, let's talk about the corporate players. Giant multinational corporations, often headquartered in the former colonial powers, wield enormous influence. They exploit cheap labor, extract natural resources with minimal environmental regulation, and often pay little to no tax in the host country. They can literally shape government policies through lobbying and the sheer threat of pulling out their investments. Fact 5. Cheap labor plus few regulations maximizes profit. Think about the oil in Nigeria, the minerals in the Congo, or the agricultural land in parts of South America. Who benefits most? Often, it's the foreign corporations, not the people living there. And the governments? They're often pressured to prioritize corporate interests over their own citizens' well-being to attract or retain investment. Fact 6. Political and cultural interference. It's not just economics. Neocolonialism also thrives on political and cultural manipulation. Former colonial powers often maintain influence through aid programs that have political strings attached, or by supporting leaders who are friendly to their interests. They might also promote their own language, media, and education systems, subtly eroding local cultures and creating a dependency on Western norms and knowledge. This makes it harder for these nations to forge their own independent path. Fact 7. Aids with political strings attached. Sometimes, it's as simple as controlling the narrative. Media outlets funded by external powers can shape public opinion, making it harder for citizens to understand the true nature of their country's challenges. It's a soft power play, but the effects are very real. Fact 8. The brain drain. Here's a consequence that hits home for many: the brain drain. Talented individuals from developing nations often seek better opportunities, education, research, career advancement, in the former colonial powers or other wealthy nations. While this can be a personal choice, on a systemic level, it represents a massive loss of skilled labor, innovation, and leadership for countries that need it most. Who's left to build the nation when its brightest minds are educated elsewhere and often choose not to return? Fact 9. Loss of skilled professionals gives stunted development. It's another way the global economic structure, largely shaped by historical power dynamics, benefits the already wealthy at the expense of the developing world. The cycle continues, fueled by the very people who could break it. Why it's kept secret? So why don't we hear about this more? Honestly, it's because the systems are designed to be invisible. It's profitable for the powerful, and uncomfortable for everyone else. Admitting to neocolonialism would mean acknowledging a form of exploitation that's harder to condemn than outright military conquest. It involves complex financial instruments, trade deals, and corporate structures that are opaque to most people. Fact 10. It is hard to fight what you can't see. Plus, the narrative is often controlled. The focus stays on development aid and global partnerships, masking the underlying power imbalances. It's much easier to talk about charity than about systemic exploitation. What can be done? It sounds bleak, but change is possible. It starts with awareness. Understanding these mechanisms is the first step to dismantling them. Supporting fair trade initiatives, demanding transparency in international loans and investments, and advocating for policies that allow developing nations to add value to their own resources are crucial. It's about shifting the power dynamic. Demand transparency and support fair trade. And on a personal level, being critical of the information we consume and supporting businesses that operate ethically makes a difference. It's a long game, but every informed voice matters. Look, understanding neocolonialism isn't about assigning blame, it's about understanding the system. It's complex, and frankly, a little depressing. But knowledge is power, right? If this breakdown helped you see the world a little differently, do me a favor and hit that like button. And seriously, what's the most surprising thing you learned about neocolonialism today? Drop it in the comments below, I read every single one. What surprised you most? Comment below. Thanks for sticking with me through this. Next week, we're diving into another global video topic. You won't want to miss it. Until then, stay curious. This is Global